So what we're going to do is we're going to try and find some brick paper and stick it on the smooth side. Let me just show you the context. Hello again. Well, we're back on with the Viaduct finally. Took forever, didn't it? Projects coming in the next few videos. I have got to get that teddy bear working. Shouldn't be that difficult. But I'm trying to resist just using AI. He said it. No, I'm trying to actually learn how to write the line of code myself, and it is taking me a hot minute to do it. I'm working full time at the moment, so that's getting in the way of rather more important things like hobbies. So this all started, this is like styrofoam or something, it's very flimsy. I found this in a junk bin at a model shop in Germany, and I've painted over some of the bigger cracks. I did notice the other day when I was looking at the underground trains that there's been a bit of a casualty there. Do you see it? So this stuff is very, very delicate. But look, there are proper brick arches there, or stone arches. And each brick is picked out and has texture. So that's what's given me the idea. And the basic size there is very similar to the one that I've made. Now, the layout isn't turned on tonight, but the much more famous arches that are here, these are made in a very similar way. This is just hardboard. It's in a brass U section that I had, or C section, and one at the top, one at the bottom. It just slides in there. The reason it's there is to stop this end of the board dropping down. Otherwise, I don't think I'd have bothered. But I do love the view. Now, because it's really not part of the layout and is more part of the plinth, all I've done, I'll take it out to show you, get a bit of light on it. That's just hardboard painted grey. And that texture, it looks like bricks, doesn't it? That's the manufacturing texture on one side of the hardboard. Now, if I put that up against there, okay, so that's different. But the 2 foot rule, somebody asked me what that was. Well, the 2 foot rule is usually you're looking at things from about 2 feet away. And so if it looks all right there, it's all right. So without the arches and without the lights, that's what I would see. With them, that's my view from my workbench here. So yeah, rather a lovely view. Those arches have a little piece at the bottom. That was modelled on a railway station I was riding on a train through. I thought, oh, look, they've left brickwork at the bottom. I've said a number of times that one of the goals of this project is to use as much of what I have already as I can without buying new stuff all the time. So I thought, aha, I've got some more of that brass section. So I'd planned on using that, but it's the wrong size. The thickness of the hardboard is thicker than the thinness of the metal. It's floppy too, look. Whee! So the plan is, you might remember that I already had one of these cut out, and I've increased this depth. This is part of the other one. The issue is that the Viaduct is that pencil line. I thought I'd be clever and go all the way up to it, but then you can't get mounting brackets and electrical cables and yeah, all sorts of things the other side of it. So I've reduced the height of it, and it actually looks better. There's a whole perspective thing. So if I put this over here, he's walking over to where it lives. There we go. It looks right. I don't know why, but it just does. So it's rather lovely. With the taller arches, somehow it looked more squished. So this just looks longer. Why don't I just paint the other side? Well, I could still, but it's going to look better if I do it right. Do it once, do it right. Brick paper now. We've used grey brick here, and we've used the same grey brick over at the street. Do you see that? With the, it actually looks not bad at all, I will say. So if I can find enough of that stuff, we will stick it all over this and then cut the arches out. Now, it gets a little more complicated than that because I really don't want just half bricks coming up to the edge of this. So we will paint the depth, and then I will try to find a way of sticking something around the tops of the arches. It's going to be difficult to match the arches, other than I will have the cutouts as a template, but that's a detail. I don't think we're going to see it much because there is a canopy that sits here and comes up over the top of the platforms. Anyway, first job, we've got to find some brick paper. I hope I've got enough, and we'll get that stuck on there. That's probably as far as I can get tonight because I don't want to mess with it until the glue's dry. But I've got to find the paper first. I've found some super quick sheets of red sandstone walling, and it says it cost me £1.40. It would have been in pounds. Lovely. I've used some of it, but look what's at the bottom. I wonder if we're going to be, I don't know. Shall we just offer one up? These arches are going to be the same size. You know, that's not far off. Not far off. But this is what I'm really after. This stuff. Now, would those look good on there? I don't know. We'll have a play. I have found a packet of Metcalfe dressed gritstone, and that is the stuff we've been using. So let's have a look. 8 sheets of thick card printed. Ideal for custom buildings and retaining walls. Woo, woo. That's the one. It is a new pack. I always open these from the bottom because I always end up destroying the tops. But let's get in there. Shall we do an unboxing? Don't be silly. Now, believe it or not, I once had a dream about Metcalfe. Don't tell them. I was laying in bed, fast asleep, dreaming about not being able to get into one of their packets. The dream went something like, world famous modeler can't get into the packet. First, I am not a world famous modeler, and secondly, I have discovered the trick. It's going through the bottom. Let's pull those out and see if I've got enough. I think I do with 8 sheets. Let's see. There are days when I get very frustrated with rulers, and it doesn't matter whether you use inches or millimeters. I'll show you what the problem is. The viaduct is conveniently 10 centimeters or about 4 inches tall. Our card is conveniently 8 inches and just over 20. But the printed part is, of course, measuring from printed part to printed part, 19.5. Of course it is, Ian. That is frustrating because it means I only get 1 out of each of the pieces of card. I'm complaining about a centimetre of nonsense. So I am not doing that because it would waste so much. So what I'm going to do, yes, I've got a solution. I'm going to see if I've got enough of this stuff. I think I do. And we'll put a piece along the bottom and a piece along the top. And that will cover up the deficit. The deficit's only half of one of those. But I think that's going to look better than if I just put brick all the way along. If you do that and then it has this on top of it, I think that's probably going to look like we meant it. All right, let's find the bits. I was looking for this stuff before, I couldn't find it. Now I've found there's plenty. There's 2 whole lots of it. So that's what we're going to do. So my next trick is to cut this all in half. How many pieces do I need? 1, 2. It's about 5 lengths. Yeah, I've got 8 sheets, so I could actually just do it right. But what I'm fearful of, I don't think it's a bad idea putting the piece on the bottom and on the top. Certainly on the top. What I'm fearful of is if I do it the way I've said, probably the way to do this is to leave the unprinted border on, because this card is exactly the right size if I just cut it in half. But the printed bit's wrong. So if I do that, it will, otherwise I'm going to end up with a lip that's going to be difficult to stick to. So I think that's what I'll do, leaving the non-printed part along one edge. Now, does that work? It's going to be interesting too. So I want 10 centimeters because the printed edge isn't quite right either. It doesn't work just cutting it exactly in half for two reasons. Oh no, the second reason's silly. What I was going to say is that you're going to go half a brick, but it doesn't matter because it's being covered over. But one cut, this is just over 20. So this is 20 and a half. 25, Ian, that would be. So 25 or 250 millimeters, and we need 100 or 10 centimeters either side. So it's two cuts no matter what I do. I think what I'll do is, do I have enough of this? I'll have a look. Does this look better it'll look better on top for sure. Do I have enough of that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I do. I think we're going to do that. What I was thinking about was putting one strip of that along the top of the wall rather than that might look better. I'm thinking out loud again. What a mess I am. No, seriously, what I'm doing is having a look, see how I can best use the materials I've got. Does it look better with this brick stuff or with the coping stones? I don't think we need the coping stones at the bottom. I think we need something thicker than that. So I do think these will look better at the bottom. I should really cut one off a strip. Let me just do that. So this is what I'm talking about. Do we put this along the top, or do we put this along the top? I think either way it works. This stuff obviously works better as coping stones on the top of the wall, and there'll be enough thickness to glue that on. So the top of the wall would look like that. There's the thickness of the card, the thickness of the hardboard, and the thickness of the wall, which is just about right for the coping stone. So that works, I think. So the plan, cut this to size, getting 2 pieces out of each sheet, gluing it along the full length of this, then cutting out the arches, using the arch as a template for the knife. That could get interesting. I'm going to clean this all up first. How do you stop the flex? Well, we're going to put the bottoms into some C-section or U-section. And on the top, I'm intending to get some magnets and some screws in the bottom of the viaduct that they just clip to. Now, we've got a long piece of metal I need to put on there too. It'll do 2 things. First, it'll stop that. And the second thing it will do is it will give me somewhere to put all the wires that are going to go there. What wires, Ian? For long-time visitors to the channel, you will know that we had a little discussion about, do we light it under there or do we not light it? And the overwhelming opinion was, we do light it. We light it dimly, as if it's either a yard or the Royal Mail train parks back there. So it could be loading bays, it could be other platforms in the distance, but it will look like so the fiddle yard, then essentially what we're doing is bringing it to life. The scene plays out quite nicely. So that's the way we're having a little think about this whole thing. You haven't seen me do very much tonight. That's because I'm not going to. Just planning. It is really late. My sister's house had a water leak tonight. She doesn't live very far from me, and they had a burst pipe of some sort, And so I was talking her through that. So that's where I've been. More important things than trains sometimes. Sisters, happiness to start with. So thinking about the viaduct, we will get on with that really soon. We've got to ballast. I'm going to very lightly ballast. I mean very lightly, not very much ballast up there at all. I have had an idea. The canopy, let me just talk to you about the canopy. Well, I'll show it to you. Hold on. Well, there you go. There's one half of it. The other half starts here and goes this way. Now, let me talk to you about my understanding of our little problem here. You start to get the idea of what it's going to look like with those two pieces in place. Now then, when it rains, the water comes pouring down here, goes into a gutter and runs down one of these columns. But otherwise, people getting onto the trains this side are going to get wet because they come out into the train, you see. So there is a way of mounting these things side by side. The issue is one leg would have to go in here and one in between the tracks. That's fine. But one there and one there is not fine. It doesn't fit. And the reason it doesn't, this was a fiddle yard, which has become a platform. We can barely squeeze this in. So whilst I would kind of sort of like to see two of them, I can't. I'm annoyed that I didn't think of that when we threw this thing together. Another little problem, I like the way it butts up to the bridge over there. I actually like that. It's the right sort of height. It's very irregular. It's how things are in real life. But the gap then between here and the end of the platform, that's another problem. Let me show you what happens. There is a join, end of one canopy, start of another. Now, before the station was there, this thing was that way. Now it comes all the way to the end of the platform. We could shorten this a little bit. We could knock one of these off. I kind of don't want to do that. The why? Well, this is all very, very, very brittle. It's been around a long time. The other thing of moving it over here, there are extensions to those legs, but they would then be sitting on the ballast, so I'd have to pull all that up. So there comes a point where simplicity is going to take over. I can live with a strange join. The backstory will be the station was extended sometime in the 1900s. I will make it work with just one leg. I think one of them does have. Yeah, one side there's a leg missing to help that happen. Originally we had a footbridge in between there, but we'll make all that work. These are the legs I'm talking about. Some of them have fallen off. Leave that there to remind me. But let's push it together. So in principle, it's starting to look like quite a nice station. You imagine a little bit of ballast up here, some brick paper on here. Where is my brick paper? There we go. Few coping stones on the top. They won't balance there. Of course they won't. Don't be silly. But yeah, it's going to look the part, especially when we put a few lights along underneath the canopies there. So that's what I'm up to. That's our next thing. So first thing this, then this. Good bit to go to get there, but you can see how we're coming along. So tonight, some decisions. We have found enough of this stuff to make my life happy. We found enough of this to make the coping stones, and it's going to look nice along there, I think. It's just about the right height. I still could just paint it, but I'm not going to. We're going to do it right. And then from here, we've got to come up with a way of filling that mess in. So we've still got a bit of a gap between the street, I still call it the street, the high street, and the viaduct. So we've got that to do as well. For those of you who remember the hospital, it was only there for a minute. I was talked sense into. So thank you those who talked sense into me. It's gone elsewhere. And we'll get to that as well. So that's my project. That's all I've got time for. Yes, hot water tanks and my sister aren't going well together right now. So we're going to get on with that tomorrow night. But I shall find time to glue the paper on onto that arched piece of hardboard, and we'll go from there. So far tonight, haven't spent any money. Isn't that a good thing? Yeah, it is sometimes. Now, when I do go over to Home Depot, it's a bit like, what do you call it, Home Base? No, I don't know what it is in England anymore. Is it Wickes? Might be. And pick that up. I shall see if I can find some U-channel that's the right size for my hardboard. It does need to be easily removable, otherwise I'd just glue it on there. Easily removable because I've got to get out the trains if anything bad happens, and the track every now and again needs a little bit of a clean. I had wondered about sticking something on the wall back there, but I don't think that's going to be necessary. I think we'll do without that. I promise not to cheat like this in future, but I will run a train that was run and not shown, just so that you've seen one. Stop it. Well, there you go. You saw a train running. Really sorry this is a bit rushed tonight, but it is very late and there are some things I need to take care of. I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.